They laughed because he was slow. They stopped inviting him to race. And one day, he stopped believing in himself. But what no one knew was that this boy wasn't built to win races. He was built to finish them. In a lively town, nestled between rolling green hills and a sparkling river, children raced through cobblestone streets and open fields every single evening. It was a tradition, a game, and for many, a way of life. Running was everything there. It was how you made friends, how you earned respect. If you ran fast, you mattered. And Taran never ran fast. He was a quiet boy with thoughtful eyes and a gentle smile. He loved the feeling of the wind on his face and the rhythmic thump of his feet on the ground. He loved running, but running didn't seem to love him back. Every race, without fail, ended the same way. The dust would settle, the winners would be hoisted onto their friends' shoulders, cheers would fill the air, and long after the excitement had faded, Taran would arrive. Always last. The other kids weren't intentionally cruel. They were just kids, caught up in the thrill of speed and victory. But their words, spoken without malice, found their way into the quiet corners of Taran's heart. Soft echoes followed him home. Slow Torian, don't worry, we just have to wait for Tarian. Look, he's still way behind. Tarian would often laugh along with them, a strained smile on his face to show it didn't bother him. But inside, with every light-hearted jab, something fragile broke. A piece of his confidence chipped away, then another, and another. Soon, Taran stopped joining the evening races. When his friends called for him, he'd say he was busy, or that he didn't feel well. He started avoiding the open fields where the fast runners showed off their speed. He stopped trying. And slowly, quietly, he started to believe the most dangerous lie of all, the one he told himself. This is all I'll ever be. The world of running, once a source of joy, now felt like a closed door. That summer, to keep him occupied, his uncle asked for help with his bakery. Taran's job was simple: deliver fresh bread to homes all across the town. Every morning, he'd lift a heavy, fragrant basket and set off on his route. It was hard work. The basket dug into his shoulders, and the sun beat down on him. The other boys who had delivery jobs would finish early, their baskets empty, and they'd be off playing by the river. Taran didn't finish early. He took his time, making sure every loaf was delivered to the right doorstep, always with a polite nod, but he always finished. No matter how heavy the basket, or how long the route, he completed his task. One hot afternoon, his uncle was sitting on the porch, watching Taran as he returned, tired, but with an empty basket. He watched the boy's steady, unhurried pace. He then walked over, placed a hand on Taran's shoulder, and said something that would change everything. "You know, son," his uncle began, "you don't have to be the fastest to be the best, but you do have to be reliable." That one word stayed with Taran. Reliable. He rolled it over and over in his mind. It felt different from words like fast or winner. It felt solid. It felt like something he could be. Taran started paying attention to himself in a new way. He wasn't focused on his speed anymore. Instead, he started noticing other things. He noticed that while other boys would complain about being tired after a long walk, he could just keep going. He noticed that the heavy bread basket felt a little lighter each week. He could walk longer. He could carry more. He still wasn't fast. But he realized he had something else. He didn't quit. He was steady. He was dependable. He was reliable. As summer drew to a close, the town announced its annual grand event, the Long Road Challenge. This wasn't a sprint through the streets. This was a true test of endurance, a long-distance run that wound its way out of town, up into the hills, and back again. It was a race for the strong, not just the swift. When the list of participants was posted in the town square, a quiet murmur went through the crowd. There, among the names of the town's fastest and most athletic runners, was a new entry: Taryn. People were surprised. Some of the older folks who knew him from his bread deliveries smiled kindly. Some of the kids his age exchanged puzzled glances and whispered among themselves. Taryn saw their reactions, but for the first time, it didn't sting. He wasn't there to prove them wrong. He was there to prove something to himself. On the day of the race, the air buzzed with nervous energy. At the sound of the starting whistle, the pack of runners surged forward in a blur of motion. As always, they rushed ahead, jostling for position, each one trying to get an early lead. And as always, Taryn was left behind. But this time, he didn't panic. He didn't feel that familiar pang of disappointment. He just moved, one steady step, then another. He found his rhythm, the same one he used on his delivery route, and settled in for the long journey. As the race stretched on and the town faded into the distance, the landscape began to change. The road grew steeper, the sun climbed higher, and something in the race began to shift. The fastest runners, who had started with such explosive energy, began to slow. Their confident strides turned into weary jogs. Some stopped to catch their breath. Some sat down on the side of the road, defeated. But Taryn kept going. Quietly, steadily. He wasn't focused on the runners ahead of him, or the ones he was passing. He was focused on the ground beneath his feet, on his even breathing, on the simple act of moving forward. He remembered the weight of the breadbasket, the long summer afternoons, and his uncle's words, reliable. When the sun finally began its slow descent, painting the sky in shades of orange and purple, only a handful of runners remained on the road. And there, among them, was Taryn, still moving. Not in first place, not in second. But he was on his feet, he was strong, and he was finishing. As he finally crossed the finish line back in the town square, a wave of soft applause rippled through the crowd. It was different from the loud, boisterous cheers for the winner. This was a warm, gentle applause, full of respect. But Taryn was barely listening to the crowd. He was listening to something else. A new sound from deep within. It was the quiet, powerful hum of his own belief. That day, Taryn learned something that no short sprint could ever teach him. He wasn't bad at running. He was just built for a different kind of race. His strength wasn't in his speed, but in his spirit. Believing in yourself doesn't mean you have to be the best at everything. It means not quitting on the person you are becoming. Thanks for watching.